All right, Manitoba, welcome back to another episode, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're having a wonderful day as always. Real fast, Manitoba, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff that helps out the show. This is a live show Tuesday and Thursday, 9 p.m. The best way to help out, guys, is to share it. And honestly, Manitoba, the big ask would be go on to Rumble and follow me there because, I'm fighting the inevitable canceling of Facebook, especially after what happened today. Everyone woke up to Facebook being not being able to log into Facebook. I didn't even know that. I only realized that once reading everyone's posts about not being able to log in. But either way, Manitoba, so I am fighting that algorithm as well. So like, share, subscribe. Please, Manitoba, that helps out the best. All right, Manitoba, so the NDP has dropped their 5-point tough on crime plan. And honestly, Manitoba, I'm going to applaud it. I'm not going to mock it. I'm happy that they're moving, they're putting forward any sort of plan moving in this direction. That is a good thing. But honestly, I don't know how effective it's going to be. Because ultimately, bail is a federal issue. So it comes down to more so that. But either way, I'm happy that NDP is moving in this direction. A few reasons why I'm not going to put all my eggs in this basket, so to speak, is because NDP, obviously, like most of you know, don't have the greatest record on crime and safety in the province, and here is a look back at their voting record.
Mr. Canoe, you talk a good talk, but you don't walk the walk. We have introduced a strategy, a violent crime strategy, that you have voted against time and time again. Strengthening intensive bail and supervision for serious violent offenders. You voted against it. Increasing Manitoba prosecution service capacity to put violent criminals behind bars. You voted against it. Supporting child abuse response, you voted against it. Integrated violent offender unit, you voted against it. Supporting integrated missing persons response unit, you voted against that too. How can you honestly stand before Manitobans and say that you are tough on crime when you voted against every single thing that we have done to get these criminals, violent criminals?
Thank you, Heather.
Manitoba prosecutors to have more oversight of release bail opportunities for repeat offenders, Premier says. Province announces 5-point plan that includes $3 million for police to track down people violating bail. The provincial government is hoping to better tackle the root cause of crime and address public safety risks associated with repeat offenders out on bail through a series of new commitments with police, prosecutors, and other agencies. Premier Wab Canoe said and Justice Minister Matt Wiebe announced on Thursday a new 5-point plan they say will help address community safety issues associated with repeat offenders. Quote, we've heard time and time again that we need to take action on bail reform, Canoe said. The concern is that somebody does get picked up off the streets, often the next day, maybe even later that same day, those same people cause problems in our communities, are back at it again, and cause Manitobans to lose confidence in their government's ability to keep them safe. Serious offenders are out on bail are more likely to reoffend when they don't have the right supports in place, Canoe said. The new policies will give Crown attorneys more tools for considering the potential impacts on victims and the community if someone accused of a crime is let out on bail while awaiting judgment. A government news release said, particularly in cases of intimate partner violence or chronic offenders. Another part of the plan will send $3 million to the Winnipeg Police in 2024-2025 to hire a dozen police officers devoted to tracking down offenders who violate bail conditions and may pose a public safety risk. Manitoba is also spending $514,000 to bolster the ability of law enforcement agencies within the province and beyond to share data and intelligence at a provincial and federal level. The fourth prong of the plan is to use $500,000 to create a community monitoring and supervision program focused on providing better mental health and substance use supports for chronic offenders. The province will also hold a public safety summit this spring with community members, Winnipeg Police, and representatives from other agencies to identify their different priorities related to the root causes of certain crimes. Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham said he hears frustrations from police and the public when stories emerge about repeat offenders committing crimes while out on bail, which is why he's pleased with the announcement. Bobby Baker, Prairie Region Director of the National Police Federation, said the NDP's announcement goes beyond public safety and is a step towards addressing root causes of potentially criminal behavior, suggesting other provincial and federal leaders should follow Manitoba's lead. Bail needs to be effective, accountable, appropriate, and actively monitored for the public to feel safe and have confidence in it, he said. Dave Dalal, acting deputy chief of Winnipeg Police Uniforms Operation, said he was glad advocacy around bail reforms last year led to Federal Bill C-48 being implemented earlier this year. The Thursday announcement fits perfectly within the philosophy of that bill, he said. Chris Gamby, Communications Director of the Criminal Defense Lawyers Association of Manitoba, said Bill C-48 also includes a reverse onus provision that could result in more instances where the onus is put on the accused to put forward a compelling case for release on bail. Previously, the onus has been on Crown prosecutors to show why someone should be detained, he said. Gamby said that's why the $500,000 for enhanced community monitoring and supervision programming is promised and could help fill the gap in that system. The former PC government cut 20% of its funding to the John Howard Society and Elizabeth Fry Society in 2017. That resulted in fewer spaces in the bail support and reintegration programs for people who may need supervision or addictions or mental health supports to ensure they stay out of jail, Gamby said. Quote, if we have public funding for this, that's probably a big improvement, and I'm hoping that it'll be available to more individuals who come before the court, he said. The rest of it, it's hard to tell. A lot of it seems to be lip service to the issue. The federal government, really, they're the ones that are in control of the law, end quote. And that is a really important point, Manitoba. Like I said earlier at the beginning of the show, ultimately it comes down to the federal government. But again, we're going to applaud the NDP when they do at least do their part on the provincial level. This week, the Canadian Civil Liberties Association said about 70% of people in provincial or territory jails were awaiting bail or trial as of 2021. A provincial government spokesperson said the Winnipeg Remand Centre currently has 254 inmates, which is well below capacity. Justice Minister Wiebe said in 2022 alone, 1 in 5 people charged with violent offences were out on bail. Quote, this has taken a toll, Wiebe said. We're here to send a clear message that our government is taking action to make our streets safer, unlike the previous government who chose again and again to point fingers and pass the jurisdictional buck over to the federal government. Side note, Manitoba, it's exactly what the NDP is doing, pointing fingers at the PC party. It's so funny that they don't see that they do the exact same thing that they're accusing the other party of doing. And like I said, I played the video of all the cuts that NDP voted for to cut all those programs. So this is like both parties are guilty of this. And the thing that frustrates me the most, Manitoba, is not once will any party own up to a bad decision. They'll never say I made a mistake or the other party has a good idea, let's adopt that. They have a feel they think that that's going to get voters away from them, but I have a feeling that would attract a lot of voters, you know, being honest. Progressive Conservative MLA Wayne Balkian from Brandon West, a former police chief in Brandon, suggested that the pledge was erroneous at the time and still is because bail reform is ultimately a federal issue. This is not bail reform, this is bail monitoring, he told reporters. Quote, the only bail reform that could happen is at the federal level, making sure that laws are in place that prolific offenders, repeat offenders, violent offenders are kept in jail and not given bail. Again, true, but like I said, at least they're going in the right direction. So, NDP released a 5-point plan for them. On top of that, Manitoba, the arbitrator awards a pay bump to Manitoba's Crown attorneys after 2 years without contract. So they're not only kind of given a new mandate, they are also getting a pay raise. So with both these factors, let's hope that we as the public see some sort of difference. I have my doubts, but again, let's just hope for the best. So, who's this from? CBC News. Crown attorneys in Manitoba have been awarded a new 5-year deal after going to arbitration with the province. After a hearing earlier last month between the province and the Manitoba Association of Crown Attorneys, MACA, sole arbitrator William Kaplan outlined a new 5-year deal in a February 12th decision retroactive to 2022 that includes a total wage increase of just under 14%. So, I mean, they should be happy with that. Manitoba, 14-cent pay bump. The MACA represents about 250 Crown attorneys that work in Manitoba's justice system. The association has been bargaining with the province for a new collective agreement since their last one expired in March of 2022. Rich Launstrup, MACA's president, said the efforts to reach a new collective agreement spanned 2 provincial governments and left its members without one for about 2 years, but many of the issues its members experience remain unaddressed by the province. Quote, Crown attorneys face overwhelming caseloads. Some of our regional offices remain woefully understaffed, Launstrup said in a Monday statement emailed to CBC News. Members have made and continue to make great sacrifices to their personal life and mental health, end quote. The new deal, which also includes a new maximum step for senior crowns, which gives them a 4% more pay than the previous top level, as well as an additional 2% long service award for crowns with 20 or more years of experience. All full-time Crown attorneys will get an $1,800 signing bonus, while part-timers will get a $900 signing bonus. In the arbitration decision, Kaplan says both the province and MACA provided extensive and detailed submissions to support their cases. MACA cited the salaries of other Crown attorneys' workloads, recruitment, and retention issues on top of inflation, arguing they warrant significant wage increases according to the decision. While the province acknowledged the work MACA's members contribute to Manitoba's justice system, it did not agree that there are recruitment and retention issues, and also deemed many of the association's financial proposals as both unprecedented and unaffordable, it says. Justice Minister Matt Wiebe called the new collective agreement a fair deal that brings Manitoba in line with other provinces. In a Monday statement to CBC News, Wiebe, this is classic NDP, Wiebe has also blamed the previous progressive conservative government for leaving the province's Crown attorneys without a collective agreement and with a working environment that left them, quote, burnt out with stagnant wages. But Launstrup says the grievance that MACA filed against Manitoba, which was filed after members voted to reject the province's final contract offer in April 2023, remains outstanding. We seek to work with the current government to swiftly resolve this unsustainable working environment, he said. However, Kaplan's arbitration decision says any issues brought up by MACA or the province that were not specifically addressed in the contract award are now dismissed. And earlier last year, the PC government did get a bump up, put $3.1 million, and they hired 25 new Crown attorneys. So again, this is bipartisan. It's not just NDP, but again, these are all good moves. So, with all that being said, Manitoba, like the title of the show is Manitoba likes to take 1 step forward and 2 steps back. So we finally, Manitoba, have a government that's willing to, pay attention to the actual crime rates in the province and focus on the crime. And it's the NDP government of all governments that are doing all these moves. That, again, I'm applauding. But we can never all be on the same page. Manitoba, we just appointed Winnipeg's most woke former mayor, Brian Bowman, to the, he's now a judge. He's appointed now as a judge. Brian Bowman. Like I said, Winnipeg's most woke mayor. So how does this coincide with being tough on crime? You know what I mean? I mean, ultimately, this is the government, the provincial government could do as much as they possibly can. But like I've said, and all the people in the article say, it's ultimately up to the federal government. But even so, it's ultimately up to the judges and the prosecutors and the kind of sentences that they seek. and the kind of sentences that judges are willing to implement. You know what I mean? And when we elect former Mayor Brian Bowman, what kind of sentences do you think he's going to implement on violent criminals? There's always an excuse. At least he always finds an excuse. But Manitoba, I have a clip of the swearing-in ceremony of former Mayor Brian Bowman. Take a look.
You could never control yourself. What makes you think you could control these things?
You're in control. You be head of the council. You choose. And you choose quickly, too.
I should have put you down myself. Personally.
You know, I never understood that. Why did you judge me? Why did you judge me?
You killed innocent people.
The means to an end.
You started a massacre.
I caused the revolution.
You betrayed the law.
Law! I betrayed this! Your council's experiment, which failed!
Sorry, Manitoba, wrong clip. Here's the right clip.
Winnipeg Mayor Brian Bowman has a new title. You can now call him Justice Brian Bowman. Today, Bowman was sworn in as a judge on the Court of King's Bench. Ottawa announced in December former Mayor Brian Bowman had been appointed a justice of that court, which is our province's highest trial court. Bowman is a member of the Manitoba Métis Federation and served 2 terms as Winnipeg's mayor. Before his time leading city council, Bowman worked as a lawyer for more than a decade. He specialized in privacy, access to information, and social media law.
We've described for you a mountain. We've shown you the path to the top, and we call upon you to do the climbing. So with these powerful words from a former member of the Court of King's Bench, Marie Sinclair, I'll keep climbing. I'll keep doing my best to take care of people. I'll work to appropriately advance reconciliation and human rights in this new role.
Bowman also vowed to devote himself to the advancement of the law and to serving the community in his new role.
All right. Too bad it wasn't the first video. But either way, I never felt more grateful. Former Winnipeg Mayor Brian Bowman says after swearing in as judge. Winnipeg's former mayor has officially taken a seat as judge of the Queen's Court of King's Bench in Manitoba. Justice Brian Bowman has already taken his oath of office and allegiance prior to Friday's swearing-in ceremony, but took them again for a packed Winnipeg courtroom. Quote, what an event. It's kind of like this is your moment. This is your life moment. You know, being able to look out and see so many friends from so many facets of my life, he said at the ceremony. Bowman said the period since December when he was appointed to the bench has been a time of reflection of his life. Quote, what I could say is I've never felt more grateful than I do today. Bowman, who has 2 sons with his wife Tracy, also acknowledged her support. I wouldn't have gotten into law school, let alone become mayor and now a judge without Tracy's love and support, he said. Bowman was called to the Manitoba Bar in 2000 and worked in private practice, specializing in the areas of privacy, access to information, and social media law. He set that career aside when he was elected mayor of Winnipeg in 2014. A Métis man, he was the first Indigenous mayor in the city's history. He was re-elected in 2018 but opted against running for a 3rd mandate. Quote, I was proud to break ground at City Hall being the first Indigenous mayor, but here at the courts, I'm not the first Indigenous judge. I'm not even the first Métis judge, and I think that's awesome, he said. Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew, who attended the ceremony, said he's known Bowman since before either of them stepped into politics. Quote, the person I've gotten to know is a tremendous asset to our community and to our society, Kinew said. Nowhere did I see that more clearly on the day around a decade ago when Maclean's magazine put out a cover calling our city the most racist city in Canada. Bowman, who was mayor at the time, could have responded to the 2015 magazine article in many ways, Kinew said, but he chose to gather concerned citizens as well as community and political leaders in the mayor's office to discuss a way forward. I saw the deep pride that he held for our community, that he had been wounded, and yet also the spirit of wanting to be able to answer and respond on behalf of our fellow citizens, said Kinew. Here we are a decade later, you have the First Nations premier paying tribute to a Métis judge. I'm not saying that so we could say Maclean's was wrong. I'm saying that so we could say Justice Bowman was right. After leaving the mayor's office, Bowman worked as the vice president of sustainability and social impact at the Winnipeg headquarters insurance and financial services company Canada Life. But Bowman said the idea of becoming a judge came up the day after he announced his decision not to run for a third term as mayor, when he said he got a call from former Manitoba Chief Justice Richard Chartier. Quote, "To be honest, I'd never considered the bench, but the more we talked and the more that I spoke with other judges about the role of a judge, I became more intrigued and motivated by the possibility to leverage the skills and knowledge of our community that I gained in our public office in a different way." Bowman encouraged more lawyers to consider running for office regardless of level of government or political stripe, saying modern-day politics needs more, not less, professionally trained legal minds to help provide good governments, end quote. The worst thing that could happen is that you win, he joked. Well, the worst thing that happened for Winnipeg is he won twice. So I'm going to go ahead and say no. I don't think lawyers should get involved. I mean, whatever. It is what it is. But even sometimes Manitoba, when you put your voice out there, you vote, you elect an official, and sometimes in Manitoba, apparently that's still not good enough. Almost not good enough. Failed miserably, court blasts rule Manitoba Council for trying to oust elected official. I don't know all the ins and outs, and this article doesn't really get into it, but man, that seems super shady. A Manitoba judge has blasted a rural municipality council for their attempt to kick out a rookie councillor, saying they failed miserably to communicate or compromise while making changes they knew would set her up to fail. Councillors in the southern rural municipality of Thompson had tried to oust their fellow councillor Donna Cox back in May of 2023, a move that is being rebuked by Manitoba's highest trial court. Generally, communication, collaboration, and compromise are hallmarks of good governments. Here, the municipality failed miserably. Manitoba Court of King's Bench Justice Chris Martin wrote in the decision released earlier in February. Just because the municipality believed it had the legal right to act as it did, it does not mean it was right to do so, end quote. Martin said Cox remains as an elected councillor in the arm of Thompson. This all started when Thompson councillors had Cox escorted out of the council chambers last spring, saying she was being disqualified, something the province said only the court has the power to do. The arm has been relying on a section of Manitoba's Municipal Act, which says a councillor is disqualified if they miss 3 consecutive councillor meetings or local urban district community meetings without leave. Critically, I have no doubt the absences were not a matter of neglect, irresponsibility, or intention to flout her obligation to attend meetings, Martin said in his decision. Cox was not aware she was still on the committee after the RM's Reeve Brian Callum had been appointed as an alternate due to scheduling concerns. Martin said the 5 other councillors, all of whom are self-employed, changed the times of the meeting despite objections from Cox, who works full-time, and said her employer refused to give her additional unpaid time off to accommodate the change. Martin said he has no doubt Reeve Callum and the other councillors were fully aware that the change of meeting times would make it difficult for Cox to attend, if not prevent her from attending altogether. With those changes, it should have been clear she was bound to fail, he wrote. He went on to say there was no apparent consideration of the voters who elected Cox as their councillor. And Manitoba, that is the most important statement from the judge right there. They gave no consideration to the fact that Thompson elected her. Quote, a municipality cannot, in a situation such as this, in effect obstruct a councillor and disenfranchise voters by taking actions it knows or should reasonably know will preclude the elected representative from fulfilling their function, he said. And here's the most frustrating part of the whole deal, because Manitoba, this is taxpayer money. Thompson, you guys should be paying attention. In a statement to CTV News, the RM said it's considering appeal options. Council for the municipality acted in accordance with the provisions of the Municipality Act, as well as our duties and obligations to our ratepayers when a councillor has failed to attend meetings and missed... Where the fuck did I go? and missed 3 consecutive meetings, the statement reads. Joe Aiello, a lawyer representing Cox in the case, said his client is relieved with the decision and is hopeful she will be able to return to her post. He said this decision sends a message to voters in the municipality. To see a new councillor removed, contrary to what is now the law, I think would have been very disconcerting for the ratepayer. But now I suppose they have some confidence back in their vote, and their vote means something, he told CTV News. The decision is welcome news to RM of St. Andrews Mayor Joy Sull, who went through similar court case after her council attempted to strip her of her duties as mayor. Sull won her case in an appeal. It's a democracy issue. You're voted in by the residents, she told CTV News. She believes Manitoba's Municipal Act needs to be updated so this sort of thing doesn't happen in other rural municipalities. Quote, it's so outdated there's been no clarification. There is a lot of conflicting sections of the Act. It's up to interpretation, and sadly for myself and Donna, that's all personal expense we have to go to. Real fast, Manitoba, you know it's not the personal expense. The appeal that the council might do. That's going to come out of ratepayers' pockets. So, I mean, this is just all frustrating. A provincial spokesperson told CTV News the Manitoba Municipal Relations Minister Ian Boushie was unable for comment on the matter as the RM does not have the ability to appeal the decision. That's too many vowels in that fucking name. Aiello. Aiello said this decision from the court will also provide direction and guidance to other municipalities going through similar situations. By the judge's decision, the intent was to provide some clarity for municipalities going forward, and I think that was achieved, he said. In a statement to CTV News, Cox said she has every intention of fulfilling her duties as a councillor. Whether or not she'll be allowed to do that remains to be seen. The next council meeting is scheduled for March. When asked if the RM will allow Cox to sit as a councillor at the meeting, Reeve Callum said they are still looking for an answer to that question. How can you still be looking for an answer when a federal judge said that what you're doing is wrong? But either way, again, Manitoba, politicians have zero problem spending your money. That's obvious. They just do not care at all. How long has it been? But Manitoba, all right, 29 minutes. I nailed the half-hour mark. I want to thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. Like I said, Manitoba, like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Follow me on Rumble. That's the best way to help out the show. And I will be back Thursday with a new show. And hopefully this trend continues, Manitoba. Like I said, I'm not going to put all my eggs in this basket with the NDP being tough on crime because they have a bad track record. But every time they do something in that direction, I will applaud them for that. But either way, Manitoba, love you guys so much. And I hopefully will see you guys Thursday.